Our top story at 10, Idaho will continue accepting refugees. According to the Idaho Statesman, Governor Brad Little signed off on the request of 2 Idaho counties that were seeking consent for refugee resettlement. 6 on Your Side's Madeline White spoke with an Idaho refugee and an Ada County commissioner on what this decision means to them. She joins us live in studio with more.
Yeah, that's right, Don. Earlier this year, President Donald Trump issued an executive order allowing states to choose whether to continue accepting refugees. In a letter to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Ada County officials asked consent for refugee resettlement. Since then, Governor Little gave their request the nod of approval in his own letter. According to the Idaho Statesman, Governor Brad Little expressed his support for Ada County's request for refugee resettlement. Now, refugees will continue to be allowed resettlement in Ada County.
I have to say it was really not a controversial decision, and we have a lot of things going on in the county, a lot of tough decisions to make, but this is not one we spend a lot of time on, quite frankly.
Ada County's been a resettlement community for decades, one that's opened its arms to both refugees and immigrants for generations.
My family came from the Basque Country. My grandfather came here as a 16-year-old with no English. We are considered really a model for nationally and internationally on how to help refugees integrate and thrive.
By definition, a refugee is someone who has been forced to leave their country in order to escape war, persecution, or natural disaster. Refugees are only allowed into the U.S. after a lengthy process with the UN Refugee Agency.
It's usually more than 2 years to be eligible for refugee status. So these are legal immigrants who are coming to our community.
Diana says it's people like Anselm Siddiqui who inspire her stance on this.
Oh my gosh, he has such an incredible life story.
Anselm is a refugee who came to Idaho 25 years ago from Kenya amid conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He says he is proud of the governor's decision.
It makes me have faith again in humanity.
Anselm is also the executive director of Children's Home Society, a nonprofit in Boise that gives children in need access to mental and behavioral health services.
When I came here, and when I realized a second chance that I have been given, I made sure that everything I did was actually to make this state proud. So it was important for me to succeed.
He has given back to this community in 1,000 different ways, and we're really lucky to have him.
In the meantime, Diana says she looks forward to more refugees being a, quote, huge asset to Ada County. And this local support comes against a backdrop of tension on a national level. In September, President Trump announced a plan to cut the number of refugees allowed to enter the U.S. to an all-time low of 18,000.
So, Maddie, will that number drop here in Idaho?
It's unclear, though. I'd say it's likely since we've already seen it go down. The executive director of the Idaho Rescue Committee told me that at one point 1,300 refugees were welcomed to Idaho in a year. But more recently, though, she said that number dropped to a little over 550 in a year. And by the way, you can learn more about Anselm's inspiring story by clicking the link in this story on our website, 6onyourside.com.
All right, thanks, Madeline. Much